right, chat. Good to see you. Boat time? Yeah, it's boat time in a little bit, actually. We're doing something a little bit different today. It's a boat tour of the USS Hornet. I will be there later this month, actually. So we'll be doing the tour live because if you guys can't come to the convention, this is kind of a special thing for you all who can't come, is you still get to see the boat. So right now, this is actually a day in which there are no people, like there's no tourists on the boat. So you are getting your own exclusive off-day tour. So it's gonna be really fun. We've got the director, I've got Digi, and I've also got LP coming on. So we're gonna do that here in a little bit. All right, there we go.
I also value everything that is behind this man. Holy shit, I am.
Oh yeah, I'm
Yes.
all about this right now.
That's the scoreboard.
It is scoreboard.
Yeah.
So we got
So
scoreboard.
good. Scoreboard!
Scoreboards!
You don't need women here.
Japanese never sucked the Hornet, but a tornado almost did.
Yeah, that's right. During a typhoon, we lost the front part of our deck. You know, interesting fact about the Hornet, it was actually one of the only Essex-class aircraft carriers to have a catapult that would launch aircraft out the side of the ship. Didn't go so well when they realized what wind resistance would do.
God, this is so cool. Thank you again for doing this. This is amazing, genuinely.
Oh, my pleasure, Miss Rady.
You're the only authorized boat toucher around, which is an honored title.
I don't know how I feel about that title exactly. You know,
Boat handler.
Even with that, Miss Rady, I don't know about. Yeah, I don't know. Considering there's Azure Lane fans and the context of that, I don't know. I don't know about that.
Oh yes, I forgot. They're ship women and they do have boobs. Okay, never mind. I mean,
Yeah,
they have torpedoes.
Be careful. You don't want to activate any neurons or anything. Okay,
Eric,
well,
thank you
I'll
for
get started.
the
Well,
song.
hey,
Thank
welcome
you.
everybody. My name is Gabriel Cherry. I'm the marketing manager here at the USS Hornet Sea, Air, and Space Museum here in sunny Alameda, California, and the home of CarrierCon 2025, which Miss Radia here is actually going to be a guest for that con. So let's all give a hand in the chat from Miss Radia. We'll start the tour right here. Everyone who's on stream, what do you think this is right here? Miss Radia, you can't say it because I already sent you it earlier. That's what.
Okay,
I believe
I'm
that
not
looks like
allowed
a
to
bomb.
cheat. I'm not allowed to cheat.
It's a bomb, indeed. But what kind of bomb?
The explodey kind?
Anybody in chat can guess? No? It's a nuke.
Oh.
During the Cold War, SS-class carriers were still in service, and it was theorized that they had the capacity to hold weapons of nuclear caliber. This is an example of the type of warhead that you would find on an SS-class carrier. So, obviously, you look here. This was actually carried on the USS Hornet during the Cold War.
Gosh, I'm just so impressed that this has remained and in such good condition that it can be displayed like this.
It is in good condition. Matter of fact, it might be still armed. Should I touch it?
Oh
Yes.
Yeah, actually,
Please.
yeah. Caress it,
Smack
Pat.
it.
Can you?
Maybe not.
The greatest of content creation moments.
Wait, hold on. Slap the nuke.
Guys, nuclear explosion on Twitch. Can anybody say that, huh?
I would get banned because you would be dead, which is against TOS. So
You assume I would be dead, but look at me and my size. I'm already a Hulk. I'll survive that.
can you tech
He's
it?
gonna
Are you
tech
sure?
Where we're at right now is the hangar deck. Now, the hangar deck of the SS class carriers, when the SS class rolled out, and I assume everybody at home knows what a class of aircraft carrier is. It's a model and a design of an aircraft carrier that has multiple different carriers in that ship line. The class that preceded the SS class is the Yorktown class. Now, this was one of the most advanced carriers for the time. It was capable of carrying over 100 aircraft. One of the cool things about the SS class carriers is that above in the rafters, and you can't see it right now, we'll see some examples later, they actually had hooks. They were able to hang aircraft up top. So especially when they were transporting aircraft to the islands of, in the Pacific War, they were able to move the aircraft in this way. But you don't store aircraft in the hangar deck. That's not United States Navy doctrine. You store aircraft on the flight deck. Now, obviously, anybody who's seen any historical photos, especially in World War II, you notice massive amounts of aircraft that are on the flight deck, right? Well, stay up there. Well, they have these little tie downs that they tie those aircraft down on, and we'll see that when we go to the flight deck as well. But the Essex class carrier was the main was the main workforce during World War II, especially after we were after Pearl Harbor. The Essex class started rolling out because the Yorktown class was so minimal. Now, Miss Radia and everybody who's on stream, I want you to take a wild guess. How many USS Hornets were there?
I'm gonna go a dozen. I actually don't know off the top of my head. All the
You
Hornet.
can just hear Digi frantically Googling it in the background.
I can hear his keys. I can hear his brain smoking right now.
That'd be cheating, so I'm just gonna go ahead and say 8.
You would be correct. There are 8 USS Hornets in the history of the United States Navy.
You
Oh,
fucking
Dating
serious?
damn, he got it.
Dating
Jesus.
back to the Revolutionary War, which the original USS Hornet was a commercial sailing vessel that was converted into a warship for the United States Navy. You therefore go throughout the sailing age of the Navy's history. Then, once you get to this Hornet, once you get to Hornet 6, you get to the Steel Age. That's when Hornet CV-8, which is famous for the Doolittle raid, and I'm sure everybody at home knows about the Doolittle raid. We'll talk about that a little later, just in case. But CV-8, the Yorktown class carrier. Then we have Hornet CV-12 and her different iterations. She was a CV-12 during World War II, but later on, she was converted into a CV-A, which was an attack aircraft carrier. And then in the latter half of her career, she was converted into a CVS, which was an anti-submarine warfare carrier.
Thus proving that throughout the ages, men have considered stinging insects to be overtly threatening.
Right here, though, you have nice little play here of where she was built over in Newport News.
I know where that is.
I know that place. That's
Yeah.
That's one of the shipyards we actually still managed to have.
That is true. They've been shutting down shipyards left and right.
Ugh.
Here, where the Hornet was, you actually have Richmond Shipyards, which is just north of here of Alameda. So that actually used to be one of the main shipyards. USS Iowa used to be mothballed here in Richmond.
Then they finally took it out, right?
Yes, it's now a museum down in San Pedro and down in Southern California.
I am glad that we are salvaging more of our ships for museums rather than just scrapping them entirely. It's been sad to see when things get in such terrible conditions, like the Carolina, the one that sits down in Wilmington. Her hull was rotted for years, and they just got it repaired a couple of years ago. Not too long ago. It was 3-4 years ago, and she was just sinking into the mud and rotting.
Well, the North Carolina Museum's done a really cool thing where they've made almost an artificial dry dock for themselves where they can take water out and do hull repair. It's really cool what they've done. Not every museum ship has the luxury. For example, the Hornet. We're sitting at the same pier that Hornet CV-8 cast off from with the Doolittle Raiders. And so we're sitting at the port of Old Naval Station Alameda. So we are sitting here in the water, and we do need to go to dry dock at some point. We're obviously here on an aircraft carrier. Now, what does an aircraft carrier do?
Carries aircraft.
Yeah,
Carries
I believe-
aircraft. Now, what am I looking at here? Well, this is the FN2 Wildcat. This was one of the early fighters of World War II. This is a training variant that was found actually at the bottom of Lake Michigan, believe it.
Ha! That's where I'm
What?
from.
Can you guess why it was at the bottom of Lake Michigan?
Was it one
Did
of
somebody
those-
f up?
Somebody did f up, yes. You're in trouble, boss lady, if you're watching.
It's okay.
Original
You can say
carriers?
foul words. Don't worry. The editor will bleep them out. It's all right.
The editor will bleep them out, but my boss might be watching it. If she sees me do it,
Okay. You know what? I'll give you a get out of jail free card. Is that okay? I'll deliver it in
yeah,
person.
I'll take that card. Is it a punch card? Do I get what happens if I get 6 punches?
Was this one of the ones that was on like the Wolverine?
Yes, it was. This actually was off the USS Wolverine. And a pilot, not so lucky because the Navy, obviously, you need to train pilots in a controlled environment. Easier to do it in the Great Lakes. This aircraft was found at the bottom of Lake Michigan, and it was in horrible condition. But through the efforts of our volunteer restoration crew, yes, they're all 100% volunteer, we were able to bring her up to the condition you see her today. And it was not easy finding a bunch of replacement parts, tires, etc. It is a process to restore an aircraft.
Jesus Christ.
It's
He's gorgeous, though.
Yeah.
beautiful for having
Look
been
at
in
her.
Lake Michigan.
Oh,
Also,
God,
is
yeah.
it an FM or an F4F?
It's an
Is what
FM.
Chad is asking. Okay, thank you.
This is the training range, not F4.
There's so much stuff at the bottom of Lake Michigan, dude.
But
There is a lot.
this is small fry because we're gonna turn over to Miss June.
Oh.
Everybody say
Oh.
hi, June.
Hi.
Hi, ma'am. You're
Hi,
a torpedo
dude.
bomber. Hello.
Miss June, you know, she's a beautiful older woman. We love Miss June. I guess you could say she is a hag planning on
She's
some
hag maxing.
Oh my God.
hag maxing. She's We love Miss June. Now, I'm sure everybody knows what a torpedo bomber is, so you know that these were some of the most crucial pieces of naval warfare equipment during the war, because torpedo bombers, as we had learned, that ship-to-ship combat, battleship-to-battleship, became obsolete. Aircraft carrier took over the event, and who can guess which event actually encouraged the shift from battleships into aircraft carriers and focusing on naval aviation? Which battle during World War II?
That could be a lot of ones.
There's one specific one. Matter of fact, the hint is this battle actually taught the Japanese how to attack Pearl Harbor.
I know exactly what you're talking about. That was the British raid against the Italian port.
In Taranto. Exactly. And what did the British do? They used torpedo bombs. In the beginning of the war, American torpedoes weren't that very good. Matter of fact, they had a huge dug. But the Department of Arms, they're good. There's no problem with them at all. So literally it took them the first part of the war, seeing how many torpedoes were slamming into the side of Japanese ships, not going off, for them to decide, okay, maybe we can fix the torpedoes. The TBM rolled out. You had a much more effective warhead. And this is an example of a torpedo. This is not real. This is a prop. We do have a real torpedo, and it's down in the torpedo room, but it's so heavy that it is hard for us to get it up here.
How much does it weigh, the actual real one? Like, I'm curious of the actual weight of a real torpedo.
I believe last time I checked when I was learning from a docent was 1,600 pounds.
Jeez Louise. Whew, that's a big lady.
And Mr. Cameraman, if you can back up. We're talking about Miss June here, but here's the look how big Miss June is. I'm 6'5" for reference. 6'5".
Oh, that is a large plane. Good gosh.
Big plane.
That's like what, 13 something feet high at least at the nose?
Yes, ma'am.
At least 13, 14 feet? Like, according to how tall you are.
Yes, ma'am. And look how wide the wingspan is.
What is the actual wingspan on the plane itself? Do you know off the top of your head?
Off the top of my head, no, but I definitely know it's a lot taller than me. But you may notice how the wings fold. The hydraulics that are in here. That, I guess you can probably guess why that is. Anybody guess why wings on aircraft, carrier-based aircraft are?
I mean, space-saving purposes, because you don't have as much space as an airfield, so you have to store these in ways that are, space efficient. So it requires you to get a little creative with how your wings work.
We get a little wacky. Get a little
funky.
You have to store the aircraft. But here's the question: how do you keep the aircraft looks like that? Who can guess?
Maybe that giant elevator behind you with it.
Ooh.
Oh no, we use the escalator.
Does this still work?
We are American. That does make sense. Yeah.
Wow, thanks. But use elevators. Where we're at is right in front of elevator one. Massive this space is. This elevator still works to this day. All of USS Hornet's elevator still works to this day. I believe we're actually the only SS-class aircraft carrier that has all three elevators in working operation. It is quite expensive to run, about almost over $1,000 each time of power that we have.
Ooh.
Can you fit in one of the planes? Can you fit in Miss June?
Could I fit in Miss June? I had not attempted to fit in Miss June. Now, have I tried to fit into an F8? Yeah.
Can you fit in the FA?
Can you fit in the FA?
There's a problem. You're in the FA Crusader. I'm not fitting inside of here. But you may notice how small this is. This was not made. This was not made for someone else. In fact, when I first came here aboard the ship and I met a lot of the docents who were veteran pilots of the FA Crusader, they were smaller, so to speak.
So you don't sit in the planes at night and just go.
You think that's why they hired you? You just can't do that. They we know he can't sit in the planes at night. You can't do night of the museum things.
They know that I'm not going to do that. I'm physically incapable. Believe it or not, Miss Radio, and I'm sorry if there's anybody who is near USS Lexington watching, or if you work at the Lexington right now, but I'm going to put you on blast right now.
Oh wow, dang! Shots fired.
Actually, you let Hallmark film a movie on their carrier, and they called the Lexington USS Christmas.
Ooh,
what?
That's a crime.
Ooh, wow.
Prison,
Wow.
1,000 years dungeon, actually.
I'm not lying. You can go search it up. It was USS Lexington.
Ooh.
And what's funny is we had some people come to the Hornet from Lexington, because obviously we all do reciprocals and visit each other. And I asked about that, and they didn't want to talk about it. So
I wouldn't either. I would just hang my head in shame and walk away and cry a little bit. Like the single tear out of my eye as it's like USS Christmas. And I'd be like...
Nope, it's real. Oh God, I hate it.
Now, the FA
Ew.
Crusader is actually one of my favorite aircraft. Why? Well, the FA Crusader has two really interesting facts about it. First is, it's one of the only aircraft of its time to not use guided missiles. It was known as the last gunfighter. It relied on its weapon, its gun weapon. It was an interceptor. It was designed for dogfight. We actually have a few pilots here aboard the Hornet who are FA Crusader. In fact, right here says Richard Kiefer. He's actually a docent here at the ship. This was not the aircraft we flew, but it was a way we honored Rich here aboard the ship. And he's still here. If you come to the Hornet, you meet Rich on Sundays. He comes here and he talks about his experience as a pilot.
Oh, wow. So will he be there during CarrierCon to speak with?
Mr. Kiefer will be here during CarrierCon. He actually very much enjoys seeing everybody in their costumes. He asks a lot of questions, but
I look forward to speaking with him if I get the opportunity. That's gonna be a lot of fun.
what's actually interesting is that the docents here love all the different events we do, because actually we had a furry convention here a few years back.
Oh, now tell me about that one. I'm interested.
There's a
Believe it
lot
or
of
not, the
military
docents
furs.
and security, they all loved it. They said the furries were actually the most respectful group we've had aboard the ship and whatnot. And so we actually wanted them to come back, and they're coming and having their con here yet again. Did I understand what was happening the entire time? No, I did not. I did not ask questions. So it was the last gunfighter. But also, what's interesting about this aircraft is that it can change its angle of incident. What do I mean by that? Well, notice how long this aircraft is. So, Mr. Cameraman, you can pan out and see how long it is. And as it's coming up over here, see how its nose is up. It's kind of hard to see, especially if it's landing, right? Because you're trying with the tail hook. We'll talk about the tail hook in a minute. To keep the aircraft stable, to have a safer landing, you notice how there's this little crevice right here on the fuselage? The fuselage imagine my hand right here is the aircraft, right? Mm-hmm. And my other hand right here are the wings. As it comes in, obviously, if you were coming in trying to catch a tail hook, a lot of aircraft you see like in the movies and when they land on carriers, they have their nose up, right? Well, the FA could stay stable. How did they do that? Well, the wings would hinge and detach from the body somewhat and help it land stably. It was a unique concept to this aircraft that Bot designed into it because they wanted to make a more safer aircraft that for pilots to land. I know for a fact, talking with some of the docents here who flew this aircraft, they enjoyed how easy it was to land this aircraft.
It's safe for the pilots, but not exactly for the ground crew.
Not exactly for the ground crew, but ideally you don't want to be on where the arresting gear cables are if you're the ground crew. You want this thing to be able to slam on the deck, catch its tail up, etc.
So they're all in beautiful condition.
And that's mainly because of the work of our restoration volunteers. And we've had many volunteers over the Hornet's 26-year history, and they've all helped bring these alive. Matter of fact, the Crusader, when I first came aboard the ship, was actually not in the best condition, but over COVID, we actually got it up and running, and looking how she does.
So do you have an engineering team on staff that does all this, like locally near you? So
not on staff, they're volunteers. We actually have a lot of volunteers for aircraft mechanics who actually come aboard to help restore the ship, restore the aircraft. Now, did we put the engines in? No. But a lot of aircraft have the engines in, so they're heavier. But we're not going to get them up and running to fly again. But we do get them in much pristine condition as we can.
So you said they're running, but it's not, obviously, they're not in flyable condition.
No, ma'am, they're not.
Which is a shame.
That is inside many of the aircraft that we have.
Ooh.
So obviously sucking air in. And like we saw with the Crusader over there, don't want to be near its mouth over there because it's going to suck you in. If you've seen the movie The Incredibles, I think we all know what happens with fabric, or you're nearby a jet engine that's sucking in air.
No capes.
No capes. Okay,
no capes.
We don't like the cape, darling. We don't do that. What do we have right here? Well, obviously, exhaust. And you don't want to be near there because what is coming out of the jet engine? Thrust.
Hot air. You're going to burn.
My favorite aircraft was here, but like I said, we moved the A4 Skyhawk. We're going to go to the flight deck and take a look at that. But there are examples of practice bombs that we have. And obviously, you'll be filled with sand to mimic the characteristics of a bomb when pilots are out, because you don't want to be using live munitions when you're out training, because it's a waste of money.
Why's it got the tube out the front? The little tube out the front.
Little tube.
What's it do?
It's got, it's the snoot. So cute.
It's a little propeller, so well, I don't want to break that. So it does have the snoot, but it would bring in air within there, and I believe from when we were learning about this in class, I believe that it was used to help tell the just the amount of air resistance that was on the bomb, but not entirely sure.
So is it like a barometric pressure reader or?
Yes.
Okay.
This is one of our newest aircraft that's been restored. This is the S2 tractor. Who can guess what the S2 tractor is without Googling?
I actually don't know.
From Hornet's the last part of her career. And if you remember during the tour, I talked about what Hornet was converted into at the time.
Oh, anti-sub.
Yeah, anti-submarine warfare.
Anti-sub then, yeah.
Hornet did 3 tours on Yankee Station as an anti-submarine warfare carrier. But I don't think the Vietnamese were rocking submarines at the time. We actually had multiple pilots. This is actually an aircraft that was on the Hornet, and we have multiple pilots who actually flew this aircraft who are docents to this day. Still around, they are. But anti-submarine warfare, well, how do you do that? Well, you need to locate the submarine. The S2 tracker was capable of locating the submarine, but also there were variants that were able to destroy the submarines. So this aircraft would drop sonar buoys into the water to be able to help locate the submarines with their precise location, obviously. Now, once they found the submarine, they would drop depth charges in the water. Who knows what depth charges are?
Basically explosive barrels.
Basically explosive barrels. But these depth charges were special. They would set them to reach a maximum depth underwater, and then, once it reached that maximum depth, explosion. Because with the sonar buoys, they were able to tell the depth, the size, and even what type of submarine they are. Kind of interesting to know that.
I find it amusing that for the longest time, the U.S. Navy's official strategy for dealing with submarines was basically a very fancy version of Donkey Kong.
Essentially. Let's see. Oh.
Actually, you're not wrong. It's just throwing barrels into the ocean.
That explodes. Literally.
Been doing
Let
it for how long?
explode.
It's a proven method.
Man, I sure hope this is the right depth. Away it goes.
I mean, you
my
need to
dude.
I mean, at one point, they did decide to put a nuke into one of those barrels and see what would happen.
That is because everyone during the Cold War era government, especially at the DoD, was either high on cocaine, completely insane, or both.
Everything's a nuke now.
There's got to be something we can solve with this. I mean, look at it. It's a huge explosion. It's so cool. There has to be something we can do with it that's useful.
It's all radium all the time. Let's stick some uranium in this baby. That'll work. Just slap it to the side.
It was a primal urge that we just did not want to admit that we never could use these things. But big
it's so
explosion.
But it's so cool. No.
Bad DoD.
Me in the corner of the room. Yes. Good DoD. Yes. Bigger. Yes. Better. Come on. Put more in there.
Hang on, I've just seen what's behind you and got very excited.
This aircraft right here, the SJ-2 Fury. Now, post World War II, obviously we're getting out of the propeller age. Aircraft are getting heavier. They're getting bigger. They need more power. We have the catapult system that to use to launch aircraft. Matter of fact, for my history buffs here or tech heads, who can guess what type of catapult system the USS Hornet had?
Hydraulic.
Oh, I hear that.
I'm hearing a voice that keeps
Well,
saying hydraulic,
I feel like,
but
yeah, you can't just, is that my conscience? Is that the devil?
I have no idea.
The aircraft devil told me to take a plane for home.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you. If society collapses and we're all tooling around like Mad Max, I am absolutely going to probably die trying to steal an aircraft carrier.
So, wait, there's an aircraft carrier devil. Does that imply there's aircraft carrier religions, so we have a whole pantheon?
Yes.
Yes.
Then I will give my life to the Church of the Carrier.
I 100% can think of worse things to worship than Big Boat.
When the Ukraine war started, we were all petitioning, desperately waiting for the US government to start giving out letters of marque again, because we were all gunning to go steal the Kuznetsov.
Please!
No, I want to hear him talk about the Fury. Come on.
Yep, okay.
So the FJ-2 Fury, obviously aircraft got bigger, and we needed to be able to support that. So the Hornet actually has hydraulic catapults, which was the first catapult system that was installed. Modern carriers have steam catapults, and now the newest aircraft carrier, the Gerald R. Ford class that's rolling out, has electromagnetic catapults. But it started with the hydraulics, and the hydraulics had to be able to get these aircraft up to speed. The FJ-2 Fury was one of the earliest jet aircraft that were used by the United States Navy. It was later substituted for the Panther jet, especially during the Korean War. We actually have a veteran here aboard the Hornet, Mr. Dale Bourbon. Mr. Dale Bourbon was actually a pilot of the F-22 Fury, but also a pilot of the Panther jet. And when asked Dale which one did you prefer, he preferred the Panther jet. So the Navy didn't exactly like this fight, so they got rid of it. But you had so many, so what does the Navy do with things that they don't want? They give it to the Marine Corps.
The middle child.
For the Marine Corps.
I hate how many stories in U.S. like military like development history are like, let's make the Marines use this.
Exactly. Big brain. We don't want it, so give it to the Marines. They'll use it.
They'll use anything. Just hand it to them.
They're insane. I'm sure they'll get some use out of this piece of crap. I mean, perfectly useful aircraft.
Who wants to meet a movie star? Well, meet our Sea King, Sikorsky. Sikorsky, the SH-3HC. This aircraft is used for recovery of pilots when they see. So, honestly, you see movies, they say send a helicopter out to go get one of the pilots. This would be one of the rescue aircraft. See, there were actually variants of this aircraft that were used in different fire and rescue operations throughout the country and the world. It was actually the aircraft that was used to recover the Apollo 11 mission astronauts. So, the delivery right here actually has the Apollo missions listed. This is not the Sikorsky that picked up all those missions, but it is a way that we teach people about how this aircraft is used. In fact, here's an image of the Sikorsky actually picking up the Apollo 11 astronauts. But this may look familiar. Which carrier is that?
I mean, it's written just there on the right, so.
That's what I'm saying. You could have just played along.
I'm playing along, but the capsule's right in front of you there. So
People don't read, man. They don't read.
I actually can't argue with that one.
I mean, that's not untrue.
I hate that you're right, but you are right.
But this aircraft was actually used in the movie Apollo 13 with Tom Hanks. It was used to show the Apollo 13 astronauts getting picked up after they splashed down after the failing mission. Right here's a big banner showing where this exact spot, where the Sikorsky was parked, and where the astronauts, as soon as they got back to Earth, guess where they went? They got out of the Sikorsky, where we actually have the capsule here. But they got out to walk this way. See? Steps. And they walked straight into a quarantine chamber. Because at that time, we didn't know if there were any celestial pathogens and whatnot. So for 21 days, they sat in here.
That's pretty reasonable.
They sat. I did not know they sat in quarantine in an Airstream.
Oh, that's rough.
Yep.
Ooh, God, that's. I think I'd go crazy.
They were forced to do one thing that humans nowadays hate to do: sit down and talk to each other. That's Hornet's history with the Apollo missions. As a matter of fact, Richard Nixon was here to greet the Apollo 11 astronauts aboard the ship. So Hornet has a great history with a disgraced president.
Ew.
How many of them were there for 21 days of quarantine? How many people were in that Airstream, actually?
3.
Okay, that's... Ooh. Actually, what's the max amount of aircraft that the Hornet can hold?
World War II or jet age? It changed with time as Hornet went through her different retrofits and iterations. In World War II, it was over 100 aircraft, and then that number got cut down, I believe, by half once we got into her 1950s retrofit. Then, obviously, becoming a CVS, we converted into helicopters, so that stayed relatively the same, but it also changed. I can't think of the exact numbers off the top of my head, but I do know during World War II, the Essex class carriers had a massive capacity for air.
How large was the hydraulic launcher itself?
How large? You mean the length of it?
Yes, I think that's the question is, and how the general size of it is.
Yeah, about 15 feet long. I would have to go down and measure. We actually can go take a look at the hydraulic launcher if you guys would like.
I mean, I would absolutely love to. Also, another interesting question that Sinister Patriot has. In an emergency situation, could the Hornet be retrofitted for service, or is this not happening?
No, this is not happening. The Hornet's hull cannot take that. And plus, SS class aircraft carriers can't really support what our modern hardware is required.
I have a semi-related question. Yeah, yes. Sure, it wouldn't be useful in a modern scenario unless you just needed a big floating hull, I guess, for stuff. But how much of the machinery aboard the ship is actually still functional? Just in general, flight elevators, engines, any of this stuff. How much of it actually could still work?
The engines cannot work. They've been dead for so long. However, most of our electrical equipment works. So, for example, all of our lights work. Obviously, thanks to the electricians that have come aboard the ship and have been familiar with the systems aboard. But also, our radio equipment actually still works. We actually have a radio club here aboard the ship that's responsible for restoring a lot of our communications equipment.
Cool.
Wow. So I mean, pretty much everything except, again, the ship is in working condition in theory, except for, you know, the hull being old lady bones. You know, she's got arthritis. It's okay, you know. Little low on calcium, and the fact that the engines don't work. But everything else is, you know, functional.
I don't think you could even put together engines, because I think you have to have those inside because they're so big. So you'd have to cut open the freaking hull, which it would not survive.
So I want to show you guys where we do all of our restoration work.
It's really cool that you have such a wide array of volunteers who have experience in terms of like aerospace engineering, who are just willing to come here and assist.
Well, a lot of them are veterans. A lot of them actually have been on the SS class carriers. Now, is that breed kind of dying out? Yes, they are. But the good part is they're passing on their knowledge to the next generation, so that we were able to still keep going.
Ah, yes. The bulbous nose.
Big
Oh
snoot.
boy, hello.
Schnoz.
This is the Squidward copter.
I love it.
Love Squidcopter.
This is the Seahorse. This was used during Vietnam, obviously, as troop transport and for rescue and medical evac.
I rode in
So,
this in
the
Arma
movie
games.
Full Metal Jacket. This is actually one of the first aircraft you've seen.
Is it weird that I really like it?
It's really nice. I mean, it's just got a vibe to it.
You know, we're getting closer to the Phantom. Chat's getting excited.
Soon.
Yeah.
I know. It's
They
like,
know what they like.
Phantom.
The glorious flying brick.
In 19, when I first came aboard the ship, I came here with some friends of mine at university. We actually took a picture right in front of the Phantom, and it was in horrible condition. It was eroded, paint was chipping. It just did not look good. But look at her now. Almost 4 years worth of work. Look at her in the condition she is.
4 years.
She's immaculate.
I mean, she literally looks like you could fly her right now. Holy crap.
Which we could. But this is an example of one of our longest restoration projects we've done. She's actually almost ready to go here. Still got some finishing touches to do in the livery, but we'll be able to put her out on the main door. On the main floor here pretty soon.
Wait, that's flight capable? technically?
Yeah. Did you say she could fly?
No, sorry. We're gonna put her on.
Okay. I was like, pardon me. I was like, did I hear correctly that this could fly?
Folks, if you donated enough, I'm pretty sure with our restoration crew, they could get one of these planes flying.
You heard it, chat.
Don't tempt my chat. They will.
We will get it prepped. We will send it to Miss Radio, and she can fly in the pilot seat, and Veggie can be her Rio.
I mean, I did want to get my pilot's license, so I mean, I'm all for owning I'm all for owning the Phantom.
A pilot, a jet pilot's license is still technically a pilot license.
You'll be fine. The Phantoms are famously easy to fly.
Yeah, that'll be a great first time. You know, it's not like I've only flown a Cessna before, illegally.
You got the F-11 Tiger here.
Wait a minute. You have a bet in the chat. $5,000 in Hornet donations and you wear a Miku cosplay.
Who,
Do you
wait,
accept?
Oh no. Who said that? Who said that?
To the max, the stare facts. Do you
No.
accept this?
No.
Oh, I see. Oh, this is a long-standing thing, I'm assuming. Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, you look a little mischievous in there.
Oh,
Okay.
there's somebody. This ain't so out of nowhere. Somebody got some ideas.
Someone's trying to get you in a Hatsune Miku cosplay.
To be fair, it's all the rage these days.
The LDR Arms Radio, I work with a group of VTubers, and they put this out there that if the Hornet gets 5K in donations for our theater restoration project for Carrier Con, I will wear a new cosplay. And I am super conflicted. I have no choice because my boss, the CEO, found out, and she calls me into her office. She says, "So I hear this is the thing. Just gonna we're going to pimp you out." And I'm like, "Are you serious?"
Oh, wait, so you're getting Miku'd out if that happens.
Yes, so.
Oh, yeah, I was like, listen, I've worn a
Chat,
maid
you know
cosplay
what to do.
for way less chat.
Please,
$5,000.
Please, no.
It goes to a very good cause. Do it. Do it. Do
The
it.
rare tactical Miku.
Do it for the right.
Do it
Anyway, tell them to
for
pay
the Hornet. Do it for her. Literally, do it for her.
Where's the donation? Oh, yeah, there is a donation. Where's the donation link?
Wow, that's crazy. What if I just, I spilt this in my chat. Oh no. Oh,
Radio.
Oh, And
Maybe I thought it was for not take my dignity.
hey,
It's 2025. Nobody has dignity anymore.
my community's about to make you into Hatsune Miku. You don't have a choice.
Use my faces.
You invited the wrong streamer.
Tell you what, I will do it if Veggie does it. Here you go.
Do you want me to bald cap my friend again?
It'd be very funny.
You what?
I did his bald cap for him, for Hatsune Eggman. So you want me to bald cap my friend again?
Hatsune Eggman?
Yes,
Oh,
Hatsune
boy.
Eggman. Yes.
Okay.
I'll go talk with him. I'm going to tell him it's for a boat and we have to do it for her. He'll understand. He loves MILFs, all right? He'll get it. He'll get it.
Listen, Miss Radia, all I remember is the funniest thing I've ever heard come out of Veggie's mouth when I was watching one of your streams is he was talking about how he got his chat paid for clown college or something, and then it like was totally haywire or something.
Yeah, and he didn't graduate because of clown college racism. It's a saga, and
I still can't believe that happened.
Listen,
Okay.
it's funnier that you don't complete clown college than completing it. And the fact that, like, racism was the crux to dropping out is hilarious, but also very sad.
Oh man, I haven't laughed this hard with all the different tours I've done. So this is the most important part of the tour. It's the escalator.
But it doesn't work, which means you have to use it like stairs.
Wait, do they actually have escalators?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why? I don't know why that's.
You're American. Americans don't walk up stairs. What are you, communists?
You guys,
I'm plotting you becoming the world's best virtual idol. She's beloved. Nations adore her. Sea to shining sea. Ooh, okay. This is a really nice day because it's beautiful outside.
Oh,
you got
wow.
one of the best views in the Bay Area. You can see San Francisco right over there.
Oh, that's pretty.
Oh, that's beautiful.
What happens on the flight deck? Well, flight operations. We obviously were in the hangar deck, but I'll let you know this right now. Aircraft are never fueled and armed in the hangar deck. They're always on the flight deck. Can anybody guess why?
Fire and fumes.
Fire and fumes. During World War II, probably the best example of that going wrong is during World War II. During the Battle of Midway, the Ikagi was hit by an American bomb. It did more damage than it would because at the time they were switching weapons, fueling aircraft.
Ooh.
I remember that.
And it imploded on itself. Giant tinderbox. That lesson. So here's my favorite aircraft, the A4 Skyhawk. We actually have an A4 Skyhawk pilot who over 400 combat missions in Vietnam, Mr. Alan Cartwright. Love that guy. He's taught me everything about this aircraft, and there's still things I don't know about this aircraft. Well, we're going to talk today about how aircraft take off and how they land. So let's start with when we bring the aircraft up. So one thing is, if you bring the aircraft up, you need to hook it up to two things. But we have this, which is the jet blast deflection barricade. All the thrust that's coming out of here gets dispersed so that way you're not blowing crew off the deck. This is a very important part of the Skyhawk, and a lot of aircraft of it at the time. This is a torsion bar. The torsion bar that you see here is specifically made for the A4 Skyhawk. It can handle the A4's thrust, and it can handle its different variants of weight that it can carry. It is designed to hold it in place. How does it hold it in place? Well, you have a holdback bar. Holdback bar connects into the torsion bar. Holdback cable right here and the bar hooks up here and holds it in place. So as this builds tension,
God damn it, air show.
what do you think the aircraft's doing when it's hooked up like this? Is it giving full power? Is it giving no power? Half power?
I'm gonna assume like half power.
Nope.
Nope?
Full power.
Oh, okay. I mean, it holds it like a parking brake, basically. Like a really aggressive parking brake.
So it is an aggressive parking brake because the aircraft needs to be building thrust to take off on the flight deck. We have 33 knots of wind coming down the flight deck here to help it catch wind, but it's not enough to just launch it like a fill aircraft. So it has to be giving its full power. This is strong enough, this little bar is strong enough to hold it in place. Pretty cool how they engineered.
That is fascinating engineering. Like, just that alone.
There are different types of torsion bars, all different shapes and sizes. Matter of fact, one of our docents here, Mr. Joseph Martinez, he has a collection of different torsion bars from his time in the Navy, and they're really no heavier than like a 2-pound barbell. So, if you like to lift, get a little workout in here on the flight deck.
You've been encouraged
But
to do
this would-
something terrible, which is lick it. I don't recommend that.
Lick the thing. Don't listen. Let the intrusive thoughts win. It's great.
Don't let the intrusive thoughts win.
You guys are in trouble. Y'all are in trouble. So the torsion bar, and this is just a prop to show you, holds in place here, right? Until the catapult, the shooter, the guy in the movies with the shirt gives the signal. The pilot's ready. Green shirt hits the fire button on the control panel, sends signal down to the hydraulic cat room, and this breaks in half.
That's fascinating. Like, genuinely, just from an engineering perspective.
This is the modern torsion bore system thing. So come over here. So this both keeps the aircraft in place and launches it forward. So it does it all in one. And guess what? The best part is it's recyclable.
Oh.
How environmentally conscious? Plane!
We can't not look at the F-14. Come on.
No, it's not F-14. We have to go. I don't care.
Parachute, come
Ones if you
on.
want this. Ones if you want this. Even
Come
if
on,
we're losing
Wi-Fi.
connection. I want this.
Come on.
I need it. I need it in my. Come on, give it to me. Don't lick the F-14. Ew, that's unsanitary.
For $5,000, can I lick the
Why are you
F-14?
guys talking about licking?
Listen, they're just upping the money ante here, okay?
I'm not licking any. What?
It's for the good of the ship.
Anyways, so one of the things about aircraft carriers, is, especially during World War II, is their anti-aircraft armament. Hornet's anti-aircraft armament was massive during World War II. Matter of fact, we had 127 millimeter turrets up on the flight deck. That was taken out because the idea was you could have your jet aircraft intercept. What was our big factor in World War II that made us different than our adversaries? Well, we made huge innovations in fire control radar. What you see right there is a variant of a modern American kit. Well, not a modern, but a fire control radar that was used during World War II and during Vietnam. You may notice that there is a compartment in there. Yes, and there are people that would be inside. And it does get sweaty. They're playing League of Legends in there all the time. This fire control radar would track aircraft that were out at the horizon. So about 200 miles out, it could start to pick up the signal, and as the aircraft got closer and closer and closer, they would start to pick up the signal. Now, they would pick up the signal in the aircraft, and they would send that information to an analog computer that was inside. Can't show you the analog computer right now, but it was a very advanced system for the time. It would be programmed to track that aircraft with automatic turrets. What you're looking at right now is a later iteration of the 127 millimeter dual purpose gun. Why is it a dual purpose gun? In the sense that it was for anti-aircraft and anti-ship roles. The 127 millimeter cannon was a workhorse of American anti-aircraft power during World War II. Find them on the Iowa class battleships on the port and starboard side, but they're in turrets of 2. They weren't automatic. How many people would man this gun, do you think?
4.
3?
11. There would be a plane captain, loaders, there would be primers, there would be shooters, there would be people on the interior here grabbing shells and moving them up into the primers and then putting them in the gun. And this gun can fire about 15 rounds in 30 seconds.
Jeez Louise. And 11 people had to run each one of these.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. Also, like, you have to be in sync with each other as a team to run that. That's a lot of people to feed a gun.
Here's a 3850 cal gun.
Yes.
This is one of the more modern anti-aircraft weapon, and they were very much found on the Des Moines class cruisers. USS Salem, which is in New England, is an example of the Des Moines class cruisers, and you can find some of these weapons up here. But this was these turrets were rotated by the analog computer as they tracked the target that was coming towards them.
Probably the same kind of computer you got on US submarines in World War II, would it?
No, it was just a more advanced version. Still had to be programmed remotely, but that's the joy of analog computers.
We're close.
We're
We're close enough.
We're so close. We're so close.
I want to see it.
Yes, show me her, please.
Oh my god, look at the f***ing tail fin art.
Oh,
F-14 Tomcat. Notice how big this aircraft is. They used to call this aircraft the Turkey back in the day. Why? Because it's pretty f***ing big.
It's huge.
Yeah, she's a big lady.
But I probably don't need to point this out. So who can tell me why the Tomcat's wings are swept back?
It's a transformer. I mean,
I'm gonna
technically,
punch you, Digi.
It's a Decepticon. It's Tomatron. Ooh, Tomatron. Its wings were swept back because as it was flying in the air, so if it was taking off, its wings were spread forward, and it was wider wingspan. As it was in the air, picking up its speed, Tomcat would sweep its wings back, cut through the air like a blade. Mission requirements, but also how many knots the aircraft was doing was also dependent.
When it was in Dorito formation, when you got that swept back wing, you get very good stability and speed when you're over a certain. I think when you're over 300 miles an hour, or when you're going up to supersonic. But when you start throttling back and trying to slow down, a delta wing becomes really, really unstable. So you kind of need the wings to fan out. So you got the bigger wingspan, you can land on a carrier without crashing into it and exploding and killing everyone.
That's exactly right.
I got a thing right, chat!
It was used in service, and it actually, behind here,
ocean.
you can actually see the different pilots that manned this aircraft throughout its history.
Oh, huh.
We actually had a few of these pilots come visit the Hornet because they wanted to visit their old aircraft.
Maybe
So,
it's
chat,
like
are you
interference from the radars.
Everyone's very happy.
Everyone's very happy. They're all very
I know,
happy.
I'm happy.
I'm very happy. If
God,
you have to
it's
come see
such a
this in
beautiful
person.
aircraft.
It's a
Yes.
gorgeous aircraft.
You're gonna
I cannot
frolic.
promise that I won't lick it.
Then you better make a bet so that like money goes to this museum, young man.
If you lick it, you might get me fired. Letting you know.
Do not lick the ship, Digi. Do not lick the ship, honey. Please
I
don't lick.
wanna.
Don't lick the ship. Don't lick the planes. Come on, please
It
don't do that.
speaks
All right,
to
come on,
me.
I want them to invite me back.
Any questions I can answer?
I'll direct it to my chat as well. Do you guys have any questions?
I'm just
No,
having
you
a good
cannot
time.
lick it. When was the Hornet decommissioned? That's a good question, actually.
It'll be off by months. It'll be 1970. Yeah, 1970.
I thought it was the end of the 80s because they mothballed it for a while. And it wasn't until
They
like
did.
91 it became a museum ship, I think.
Yes, it actually sat here in Alameda Naval Air Station during that time. It didn't go to the traditional mothballs. It actually was going to be scrapped before the aircraft Hornet carrier. The aircraft carrier Hornet Foundation was made that saved the ship back in the 90s.
I gotta ask, what condition was the ship in when it became a museum?
Terrible. Terrible. Everything you see, hangar bay, look how nice and pristine it was, did not look that way. Paint was chipping, floors were wrecked. It was bad. And it was thanks to our volunteers that got her ready to be a museum that it looks how it does today. And even now, there's still more restoration done. Well, believe it or not, Miss Radia, we are a National Historical Landmark, so we can't change anything about the museum. So everything you are seeing around the museum, obviously we've built some things around it like the ship store and whatnot. Everything you see is how she was. You may notice we don't have our, we don't have our portholes cut open for accessibility and whatnot. We can't change it. So everything you're seeing is how she was when she was decommissioned. Nothing's been altered. We haven't cut any parts of the ship out. She is how she is, vintage condition.
And you've done a beautiful job, like as far as the volunteers. Like this looks immaculate.
Our volunteers are world class, man. So, I very much look up to a lot of those guys. They put a lot of effort into the ship. And what I do for the Hornet is just a small shred of what I can do to repay them for keeping this great piece of history alive.
Is there any big restoration projects you all have like slated for this year?
Well, there's the ship's theater. So obviously I've shared with you that Carrier Con this year is actually primarily a fundraiser for the restoration of the ship's theater. Because there was a theater on the ship and they used it for different briefings and to show movies to the crew. But now we want to be able to restore it to be able to use it as a STEM classroom for our youth programs that we have. We also want to be able to use it as a community boardroom. But as well, we want to be able to use it for different events we have. So, for example, if we're doing CarrierCon, we have more VTubers. Guess what? We can have a whole theater for them.
I'm excited. I really hope the CarrierCon is incredibly successful this year and get a lot of donations.
You guys like to watch a movie on board a carrier?
I do. I want movie
You
night on a
know
carrier.
what to do, chat.
That's actually
movie
one of
night.
what we try to do. We would actually try to show some historical footage or different film on the set.
I want movie night. I want movie night on the
movie night.
carrier. I want
Can
movie
we watch?
night.
Can we watch down Periscope aboard the movie night on the carrier?
Oh my gosh, that'd be so much fun though.
AKA the best.
Watch Hunt for Red October.
Top Gun, Top Gun, Top Gun. Because I grew up in Hawaii, so on the naval base we would watch things like on the carriers there. It was a lot of fun. We got into goofy shenanigans. I huffed a lot of fuel as a child, a lot of fuel fumes. That might have led to some of this.
Oh,
There's a very hyper-specific smell that only old military equipment and bases can really give you, and part of it is the mold, but it adds character, okay?
well, Miss Radio, when y'all come over to the ship, you might leave smelling like that because there is a distinct military smell to the Hornet. So, what do we have here? We have the jet black. So, we talked about how aircraft launch, talked about how they land. And the way they land is, and I talked about earlier, is through a tail hook and an arresting gear cable. These cables are attached. This is a centerpiece to this cable. There's a long cables that are run across the length of the ship towards the back end over there. And there's about 5 of them laid down. That's because as pilots come in, they're trying to catch one of these cables with a tail hook. Tail hook is essential for carrier-based aircraft to function because that's how they land. Now, the tail hook grabs onto this cable, and this cable, while it's bent right now, helps to pull the aircraft back. Now, how is it done? Well, as it catches the tail hook, the hydraulics have to adjust for the speed and the weight of the aircraft. So here's another question. What do you think the aircraft's doing once it catches its tail hook? So it comes in, grabs the line, and the line starts to bend. The cable bends. It doesn't stay straight because then the tail hook would break. What happens? Is the pilot giving full power, no power, half power, cutting power?
Full power in case he misses and has to take off again.
Exactly. Gold. You know what? You get a gold star. You know what? You're a good noodle. Yeah. You're a good noodle. You get a good noodle.
I feel special.
You have the sticker?
Anyways, the arresting gear cable would catch here, and the hydraulics would pull it back like a rubber band and help to take out the kinetic energy of it. Because, physics, an object in motion wants to stay in motion unless it's met with another force that helps to take away that energy. So, that's how they catch that. Now, what do you do if your tail hook is not working? Can't drop it down or it breaks? Emergency barricade. This is basically a giant tennis rack that's run across the length of the ship to be able to catch the aircraft in case of an emergency landing. You can actually see this on the Hornet. That big pylon right there.
Oh.
That is yellow and red is actually what the net is run across. And there's one on the other side. It's just down right now. So here's an example. This is the middle part, right? Well, here are the green shirts replacing this for different landings. So here's a modern F-18 using the gear cable.
I have a question. Do they have multiple wires if it just missed the first one, for instance?
Yes.
Fail over there?
Yes, so there were 5 that were ran across the deck. There are multiple cables that are lined across the back half of the deck on the angle side of the deck. And I'll go show you a diagram here. But there are 5. And ideally, pilots are graded by which cable they catch. Better if you're around a 3 or 4, good. You're a 5, you're a 1, you want to try to get in the middle. Now, we talked about the different iterations of Hornet. Here is Hornet during World War II. Obviously, long deck here, straight deck, propeller aircraft, right? So that's Hornet CV-8. Hornet CV-12, so I'll zoom out here. Obviously, the Essex class, much different. But that's during World War II. During the Korean War, when she was a CVA, she got upgraded with catapults towards the front. Right here.
Oh, okay.
But then, when she became a CVS, later on, when she started getting more jet aircraft, you notice this. Angle deck. Now, here's the reason. How did the U.S. Navy come up with the idea for an angle deck carrier?
Probably all the planes crashing into each other.
Trick question. Trick question. They didn't.
Really?
The British came up with that idea. We just stole it from them.
Oh.
And obviously, I think you mentioned it. You didn't have aircraft that could potentially crash into aircraft that were taking off. So you were able to land, take off simultaneously.
I mean, how many aircraft could take off at once?
2.
Two.
There were 2 catapults. Now, some carriers have 3, but there were 2 catapults up front, and they could launch 2 aircraft, not simultaneously, but almost one after another in a short interval.
How much weight was added with the angled deck?
It wasn't a massive addition because it was just an expansion of the flight deck, and they basically widened out the deck by adding on. But it did increase the Hornet displacement by a couple tons.
Okay. A non-serious question. Can the toilets on the Hornet flush billiard balls? Just kidding. Don't worry about that.
Holy shit.
Where did that come from? They want to see the gift shop?
Yeah, kind of.
Man, this is a real tour. It's like now we're using capitalism now. Okay.
What? The power of capitalism compels them, and it also compels them to put you in a Miku costume. So,
Miss Radia, if you're responsible for that, I won't forgive you.
I understand that you won't forgive me. I'm not sorry for it, though. Merch. Capitalism. Shakes your hand.
Oh, come on. One of the best parts of any museum is the gift shop.
True.
I always get myself an oversized t-shirt, honestly.
I usually go for a pin.
I always need a big oversized nightshirt.
I
Those
want
are
that
pretty.
so much.
That's from our 75th anniversary and our 80th anniversary.
Oh, perfect.
Women.
Well, for all you Azure Lane fans out there, Hornet actually has a special collaboration merch line with Azure Lane, and you can buy very limited stock here, but you can buy it here at the ship, especially during CarrierCon.
Okay, I will be buying that because I need it.
But you can, for anybody at home who's interested, you can actually buy a lot of these items from our ship store online.
Well, that answers the question, chat. They do have an online store if you just want to buy stuff now.
Okay, and we are coming to the end of the tour. So here is Hornet scoreboard from World War II. All of the planes, shipping, tonnage, and ships that she sunk. He actually has probably the most torpedo hits, bomb hits on the battleship Yamato, sinking one of the largest battleship in the world.
4 torpedo heads, 3 bombs. Jesus.
Yes.
USS Hornet sunk 668 planes, shot down that many planes, destroyed 742 planes on the ground, and sunk or damaged in tonnage 1,269,710.
That's a lot.
Absolutely. There's also one of the planes from Hornet took a photo of Yamato as they were shooting at it, and it is gorgeous. Let me see if I can find it.
Hornet's one of the most decorated aircraft carriers in United States Navy history. Ironic for the carrier that was out of the war only months after she was put into service and with CV-8. But I think Hornet CV-12 does the name justice. There's actually down below in the boiler room, there's actually a plate that says USS Kearsarge. If you take an engine room tour, you can actually see it. This ship was supposed to so Hornet CV-8 was sunk, and then this ship was renamed that. Several other carriers and cruisers were actually renamed for sunken ships during the early part of the war. Lexington, Yorktown being two most notable.
Well, I just want to say I'm really thankful for this tour. Thank you so much for taking the time to show us around the ship. This is amazing, and I am genuinely really excited to also do the in-person tour on the ship. I'll take so many pictures. My Discord will be very bloated.
We'll get you settled with a docent for that. I know you don't want to see my ugly mug.
No, you've been absolutely wonderful through this. Also, why was she called the Gray Ghost? Like, how did she earn that nickname in particular?
What's funny is about the Gray Ghost nickname is that it is an argument amongst museum ships on who was the Gray Ghost, because either it was Enterprise, or maybe it was Intrepid, or it was your Hornet. But Hornet claims Gray Ghost, and it was because the ship was so gray that the Japanese called it, and they thought they sunk the Hornet, so she was the Gray Ghost. It is a debate, and I think it's safe to say that I work for the USS Hornet, so guess what? Hornet has that nickname.
And I am gonna give it to the
Not
Hornet.
arguing.
I'm not gonna argue. I'm not the one on the ship right now. Just a wonderful tour. I'm genuinely so excited to appear there in about 2.5 weeks. Yeah.
Thank you all to everyone who attended. Appreciate your guys' time and just you guys helping to make content and tell people about the ship. That does so much for what we're trying to do here at the USS Hornet, because I genuinely believe that if you can connect the old with the new, it helps this history to continue to live on, because I think we all agree we would like the Hornet to be here for another 20 years, right?
I mean, I'd like it to be here for much longer than 20 years, but it's a beautiful testament to our history, and the preservation is immaculate. We're gonna help even more because there's incentives on the line now. I'm not gonna stop.
Right,
I'm not gonna stop.
Right, for the kids, for the theater, right? Nothing else.
You put a bet on the line. We're gonna raise more than that.
On the line. That was somebody from your chat who is probably going to get in trouble later once I get a hold of them.
Uh-huh.
No,
Sure.
we heard you say it. The contract was sealed.
The pact is sealed. It's
The fact-
fused.
I made a blood oath with the scorpion lady.
Miku, you've made the blood pact now.
Already emailing your boss with an Amazon link to the wake.
If there's no other questions, though, I'll let you guys go. Thank you guys so much for coming along today. Really a pleasure to show you guys. And Miss Radia and Digi can't wait to show you guys here aboard the ship. You're going to have a great time. We're going to see to it, okay?
Thanks so much. I know they asked if the ship's boilers are able to be fired, and also another question of how intact is the kitchen? You all
The kitchen
are
is
hungry.
very intact. It is very much intact, and we could use it today if we wanted to. But again, it requires power. And not really something that we can afford as a museum.
Thank you so much for your time today. This was incredible. I had a wonderful time. Everyone here. I will be at CarrierCon later this March on the 22nd, and you should absolutely come if you can. If you can't, I hope you enjoyed this virtual tour and appreciated the time taken here today. But it's been a lot of fun. This was incredibly cool.
All right, everyone. You have a great day, and we'll see you here on board the flight deck. Okay?
Have a good one.
Have a good one.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Have a
Bye.
lovely one.
Aye.
Goodbye. Goodbye.
And away he goes.
And away.
Well, that was cool.